I have $40,000 in credit card debt. 40. So let's talk about it. First of all, that is a statement that I thought I would be taking to my grave. I never thought I would tell another soul. And in fact, until today, I have never told another soul about my struggles with credit card debt because this is not the beginning. If we rewind all the way back to about 19 or 20-year-old Lana, that is when my journey with credit card debt began. I was 19 years old and I was dating a man who was 31 and he did not support me or help me financially in any way. And I was trying to live his lifestyle off my minimum wage job. And I was living outside my means, to be quite frank. I got myself into credit card debt. I stayed in credit card debt until I was about 21, at which point I was able to pay it off over the course of just like really cutting back and being very diligent about making as many extra payments as I could to my debt. And then I got out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most freeing thing. I'm never doing that again. And then I did. And then I paid that debt off. And you know what? I repeated the cycle again. I'm in my third cycle of credit card debt. And at this point, my threshold has just gotten so big. Your threshold for debt increases with time, right? It's just like your threshold for anything else that creates stress in your life. Over time, your body has to adapt to the current conditions. So your threshold for what it can hold expands. So right now, the number 40 probably feels staggering to some of you, but it's not a number that I feel fear around. So why am I sharing this with all of you? Well, because this debt that I've carried on and off for almost all of my 20s has cultivated so much shame for me. So much shame. I directly had my self-worth tied up into my financial picture. And so I thought that because of the fact that I had this debt, I was not worthy. I was not worthy. And as I've been doing a deep dive into my subconscious mind, just really into my psyche in general over the last couple of years, I have looked at everything very, very, very honestly. But money's been the one thing that I've been avoiding. The one thing that I've been avoiding. And over the last month, I have gotten to a place where I cannot avoid it anymore because I am in a very unique situation when it comes to my finances. And I've been doing all of this subconscious work. And as I sat in meditation yesterday, this just came up out of nowhere that I need to talk about it. I need to talk about it. So I first started by having conversations with my closest girlfriends because they didn't even know. And after I had spoken to them, I felt the shame just dissipating and leaving my body. And I thought, I'm going to share it with the world. I think I've always known that I was eventually going to share it with the world. I just wasn't feeling ready. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know that so many of us struggle with debt. I know so many of us are in debt right now, and I need you to remember that money is not moral. You are not worthy or unworthy depending on your financial situation. The more that we talk about things, the less that shame can breed, the less that shame can exist. And I'm just simply to a point where I'm done feeling shame about this. I'm done. And so if I don't feel shame about it, why not share it with you? Because if I can help one person feel less alone on their journey, it's worth it for me. And I don't really care what the comments are going to say, because if I don't feel shame about it, you can't make me feel shame about it. So moving forward, okay, now that we've got 40 grand, what's the plan? The plan is to give it to God, basically. I am in a full surrender right now with my finances, and I just trust so deeply that I had to get to this level. I had to go to these depths on my journey with money for me to fully untangle my relationship with money. Because if you go all the way back to my childhood, I felt fear and scarcity around money before I even conceptually understood what it was. So as I entered adulthood, I had subconscious beliefs that there wasn't enough money, that money equated to my worth, scarcity, lack. Like I had very, very, very deep-rooted fear patterns around money. So even though I entered adulthood and I was able to manage my own finances, and I consciously knew the right way to manage my finances. I worked in finance for 10 years. I consciously knew the right decisions to make. I would not make those because my subconscious mind was running the show, not my conscious mind. I was operating from my subconscious beliefs that there isn't enough, fear, scarcity, lack, instability. So a lot of times, even when I had money in my checking account, I would spend on a credit card. because I needed to hoard like a little squirrel every dollar that I had in my bank account, because it may never come back and there isn't enough. And what I'm learning through this process is why I repeated those patterns isn't because I have no willpower, I'm weak, I'm unintelligent, or any of those things, I'm unworthy. It's because my subconscious mind was running the show. I was allowing my limiting beliefs to run the show. And this could be applied to any other area of our life. So what I'm doing forward is changing my identity, changing my subconscious beliefs, rewiring my subconscious mind to believe that pleasure and abundance and prosperity are safe. Not only safe, they are my birthright, that I am capable of holding it, that I'm not only capable of holding it, that it is on its way to me right here, right now, that I am an abundant human being. I am releasing the shame around money in general because money is not moral. We were not born into this life knowing what money is. Money is something we created. It didn't exist when humans first evolved. We created it. It is not moral. It is not moral. If you have more questions about kind of how this all transpired, more than happy to talk about it. I'm happy to start a conversation about this. Most of this debt, this 40 number, I've been carrying around for a little while. And I posted a video the other day saying breaking up with my credit cards. And I said, I don't want to go down a slippery slope. And I wasn't being fully transparent, which is fair. I don't owe the internet anything. But the full transparency is I don't want to go any farther down the slope than I'm already down, right? I'm already here. And I just made this decision. Like, I had to put a vet bill on a credit card and that topped me over the 40 number. And that was my breaking point. And I was like, something has to change. And not, how can I work harder to make money to pay this off? But like, what do I need to look at within myself to prevent this from happening again? Why am I keeping myself in this cycle when I know it doesn't serve me? And I think that's where a lot of the shame comes from for me, is knowing that this wasn't what was best for me. And then I would take action anyway. And then I would avoid it. So I would avoid at all costs. Like, if I spent something with my credit card and I felt unrest in my body, avoid, suppress. When I would go to pay my credit card bills, like, just only look at the credit card statement for long enough to pay the bill and then put it out of my mind, suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid, self-soothe in other ways, cope in other ways. So we're done with that. We are done with that. I no longer identify as somebody that uses a credit card. I no longer identify as somebody who operates from a place of lack, scarcity, not enoughness, unworthiness, none of that. I am no longer a person that operates from a place of shame. This is my last buried treasure. And if you know my face by now, I might be new to some of you, but if you know my face by now, you know I've shared a lot with you guys on the internet. And I know that it might feel wildly inappropriate to some of you, but I so firmly know in my body, in my soul, that I came here on this planet to share my journey with you. It might not resonate for all of you. And that's okay, because the ones that are supposed to receive this message and who are feeling overwhelmed by their financial situation, I know that you're going to see this. And I'm here to tell you, it's not about continuously working harder. It's about looking at your subconscious beliefs. It's about looking what's going on within you. What are your beliefs around money? What are your behavior patterns around money? What is your emotional response when you think about your financial situation? What's going on in that subconscious mind, and how can we make a change? We don't get to choose our childhoods. We don't get to choose the beliefs that form about ourselves in childhood. But when we are adults, there's self-responsibility, and it is up to us to create the change that we desire. So let's do it. Let's do it together. I have been doing a crash course this month of just deep self-concept work. Deep like rewiring my brain, self-concept, subconscious, like nervous system work. And I know without a doubt that by the end of this year, that debt will be paid. I release any worry or fear or stress about it at all. I know that I'm taken care of. I am full surrender, given this to God, because I know that this is my path. I know that this is here to teach me something. I know I had to go down this journey to learn what I needed to learn, to get the medicine that I need to continue to step forth into this person that I came here to be. So I don't feel shame, and I don't want you to feel shame either. So if sharing my story helps one person, then it's worth it for me. Debt is not moral. You aren't unworthy. And you can change your financial picture truly at any point in time if you're willing to go inward, if you're willing to dive deep. So happy Friday, beautiful souls. 40. I have $40,000 in credit card debt. And I'm saying that publicly, so we're going to celebrate.
So I'm getting sued by a credit card company. It's an old credit card. I have trial this morning, and I was served my papers about 2 months ago. And I've done a lot of research as far as what I need to do, what I should say. And from what I was seeing in other videos a lot of you guys actually are going through the same thing. So I try to do my own research. Got as ready as I think I could be. Got all my papers and stuff this morning. We'll see how this turns out. I'm about to go in. My trial is, I have the appointment for my trial at 11 a.m. So it's in less than an hour here. But if I end up coming out on top, I'll try to make another video if you guys are interested, just in regards to what I did, what I said, the route I took in order to fight this thing back. So wish me luck, and I'll see you guys after court.
I got sued for $100,000 as a 19-year-old in college. I feel like the craziest things just like happened to me, and it's like I literally have no idea why. So let me set the scene. I'm like 19 or 20 and I'm in college. I think it's like my freshman or sophomore year, and my parents call me and they're like, "Hey, lawyers just came to the door and you just got served." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what? I just got served? Like, what do you mean I just got served?" They tell me, they're like, "You just got sued." And I'm like, "What do you mean, like, I just got sued? Like, sued for what?" So 2 years prior, or maybe like a year and like almost 2 years, I had gotten in a small little fender bender on my way home from high school. And I was like 17 years old or something, and super small. We were going probably like 20 miles an hour. Barely hit this guy's car. And he was another high school student, and barely hit his car. We like pull over, whatever. I have like my best friend in the car. We're driving, no big deal. And we like get out, exchange information, take photos, do the whole thing. It's no big deal because it was the smallest incident ever. And I like proceed to see him at school the next like few months, days, whatever. I go to a big school. It's like kind of awkward, but it's like whatever. And I completely forget about the situation altogether. Almost 2 years later, literally you have up to 2 years to sue for this, I get sued $100,000 for injuries. I'm like, "I'm sorry, I barely touched your car. You were fine. I saw you at school the next like months, like nothing, there wasn't even a scratch, like literally nothing happened." And so yeah, I got sued, and my dad also got sued for $100,000 because he let me drive his car since it was in his name. So it was a total of like $200,000 that they were going after. I swear this stuff just like happens to me. But I literally had to get a lawyer. I had a lawyer. I had like I literally had to like do the whole law thing. And they ended up, like I had to like answer all these questions. I was like sworn in. I had to do all this stuff. I had to hand over. They had to go through like all my social medias, all my text messages, all my calls, because this guy had said he saw me texting when I hit him, and I knew for a fact I wasn't texting. I just like didn't see that he had like stopped in the middle of the road. But yeah, so they go through all my stuff and they're like, this doesn't check out, nothing works. I win the case, duh. Obviously, I'm like, this is all a scam. But yeah, I'm just like, who else gets sued for $100,000 as a poor little college kid?
What do you do when you're barely getting by each and every month? You're behind on pretty much all your bills. You're getting sued by a debt collector, all at the same time as you're trying to prepare for the birth of your first child.
Ooh, the short answer is make more money, but I know it's going to be more than that. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so I guess past 2 years, I went into 2 different business ventures with partners that, long story short, I just ended up getting the short end of the stick and never got compensated. So since then, I've had to pretty much just drive for Uber and Lyft to supplement income. Right now, we are 1 month behind on our rent. I am currently 2 months behind on my car. Utilities for like gas and water and power, I have not paid for probably like the past year.
Wow.
And it's still on?
And it's still on, thankfully.
Have you talked to them? Have they talked to you?
They've sent out like notices, and I've made payments whenever I can just to keep things on.
What are you paying for? Even if you have a little income, where is it going?
So I guess could I give you guys like the breakdown of
Yeah.
current expenses?
Sure.
Yeah, I want to know.
Because those things should be covered
Yeah.
first. If you do nothing else, put food on the table and cover your 4 walls. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you're not covering the 4 walls, so I'm wondering, where is the money going?
And by the way, tell him the 4 walls real quick, just so he knows.
That's food, utilities, housing, transportation. If you cover nothing else in that order, which means the credit card companies can kick rocks because you got to feed your family and keep the lights on.
Yeah, what? Tell us more numbers. How much is rent? You're in Los Angeles.
So rent, yeah, my portion is split with me and my partner, and
Okay.
I pay about $1,600.
1,600 just for you. Okay.
Yep.
And then,
My car payment is $610 a month.
okay, that's a lot. Okay.
Insurance is $330 a month.
Okay.
In charging costs alone to charge my vehicle, I drive a Tesla.
Okay.
Oh, no.
It's about $800 a month.
Okay.
Considering I'm
So
Yeah.
stop there, because we're already we're doing good. Now you're driving Uber and Lyft, which I don't know. I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, but I tend to think of those as side hustles. Now I do know in places like New York and where there's a lot of traffic, people do this as their full-time job. So tell us what you're making from Uber and Lyft and what you're making each month.
It's anywhere from like 42 to 46, roughly, give or take.
100
Yes.
per month. Okay. And tell us where that's going. Okay, obviously half of it, a good portion of that's going to rent. Okay. Charging the Tesla. What else is laying around here? Because it seems like with that, you can cover rent, you can cover the car. How are you eating?
Why are you behind on rent and utility bills? Because you're, even after what you just told us, you still got about $2,800 to go.
Mm-hmm. You got to
Yeah,
eat.
Yeah. I guess phone and cable is $150 each, so that's $300 there. Groceries, I spend about roughly $300 to $400 on groceries.
Okay. Phone and cable. Why haven't we cut off the cable yet? We're not paying utilities, but we're paying for cable.
Yeah, that's also why I'm calling in, just to like figure out kind of how to navigate all of this.
And tell me about the partner situation. You guys are not married, so
Not
therefore you have
married
not
yet.
combined finances.
Yeah, we have not combined finances. We are very transparent with our finances. We know our incomes. We know how much we spend on certain things.
How is she doing financially? Because she has to live in this hellhole that you've created together.
Yeah, we're both in literally the exact same position. Whatever extra change that I bring in, I'm usually sending to her so that she can cover whatever bill she has. Vice versa, if I need a couple dollars here and there, she'll send it to me. So we're just
What's
But
keeping you
wait.
guys in? I'm
the math
so
isn't
confused.
mathing, because if I take if I do it at 4,200, which you said is on the low end, if I subtract rent, if I subtract the car, the charging, the insurance, the phone, the cable, the food, I still have $160 left. And I know that's no kind of margin, but I'm trying to understand why you haven't been paying rent when you had the money to pay rent, and why you haven't been paying your car when you've had the money to pay the car.
Yeah.
What else is left out of the...
Yeah, when we fell off, when we started getting behind on things,
Mhm.
it wasn't until afterwards that we were able to at least be up to date with like
Got it.
current matters.
So you just
so
don't have the money to get a month to get... You can pay for the month, but you can't pay for the previous months.
Exactly.
Got you.
Exactly.
What is keeping
So
you
we're
guys in
able-
Los Angeles?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Because is she working?
She is. Yep.
Okay,
What does she
up
do?
until the pregnancy?
I'm sorry.
Up until the pregnancy, she'll be working?
Yeah, and she gets like maternity leave and all of that.
Okay, so you're doing Uber, you could do that anywhere. What she does she need to be in Los Angeles County to do it?
She doesn't have to be here. No.
Okay, so
You guys need to get as far away from Los Angeles as possible.
I know that's right.
We need to get your rent down. We need to cut every single bill that isn't necessary to your life. You need to sell both of these cars, and you need to get 3 more jobs. You want an answer to the way out of this? That's it. And if I had a baby on the way, I would be like, I want a different life for this baby
Mhm.
than the life I'm living right now. Are you there yet?
No, we're definitely not there yet.
I mean, what George is saying
Are
is
you there
exactly
yet
right.
emotionally? Like, I'd be on the phone with
emotionally.
Comcast or whoever has the cable today and going, I can't afford this. Cancel it now. Cancel it 3 months ago. And I get on the phone with all utility companies and say, please keep the lights on. I got a baby on the way. I'm working on catching up. I'd call every debtor in my life and say, here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm trying to do. And so far, I don't hear very much, I don't know, urgency toward the situation.
I think this is a classic, like, knowing when to hold him and knowing when to fold him. Like, it sounds like you came out, you went to Los Angeles and you had this idea for this business. You got screwed. I don't know your partner, what her thing was, but it's almost like you're hanging on to something that you thought was going to happen. It didn't happen. And now you've got to rebuild something new and start again. And, you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly the situation. Yeah.
And so the good news, the hard part about that is it sucked. But the good news is you get to start fresh and do something completely new, be completely successful, and you don't have to be clinging to this, you know, past failure any longer. You can choose to let that go at any moment. Because I'm not staying in LA eating beans and rice to drive Uber. I'm just, like, if I'm you, I'm hightailing it out of there, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to
Yeah,
move tomorrow? When's your lease up?
So we actually just re-signed for another 12 months.
Yay!
Yeah, it's also a situation where when it comes to renting apartments, your credit has to be in relatively good standing.
That's true.
Both of our credits have been absolutely obliterated.
But there are places that don't care about your credit, that they just want to see if you have cash money. There are places that care about your credit, and then there's places that they're like, do you have first and last month's rent? Yes. Okay. They might make you pay a little bit more upfront. They may put different, you know, things into the contract, but it's not strictly
What doesn't help
based.
is you got to miss payment now. So we need to fix that part ASAP. We need to get up on the bills, which means we got to work extra, cut everything in your life that isn't necessary, which right now is pretty much everything. I'd sell the car and find a normal job, and you can walk to it or bike to it. You don't need to spend $2,000 a month on your Tesla to make $4,000. That's
Put a
bad
time
math.
limit on this. Put a time limit on this. This needs to happen in the next 2 to 3 months. You guys need to be out of LA and into something different and fresh and new and good.
Do I use my credit cards even though I'm $48,000 still in debt, 109 overall? This person says that every card is over limit and I'm paying late fees. Well, there's a very specific reason for that, and it's because I'm paying off a 327% loan that is tying up $650 a month for me. And that loan, if I can get it paid by next Friday, will actually end up saving me about $250 a month in interest. You heard that correctly. 327% too. Not all of these cards are over limit like you're saying they are. My TJ Maxx credit card and my Discover are in hardship, and that is back pay, and I'm almost caught up. That's why you're seeing negative amounts. And TJ Maxx is closed. Capital One is not over the balance. It's actually under by $3. The last two that you're seeing, Citi and American Express, yes, they are over limit, but it's because I'm having to shift things around. Would I rather pay $40 in late fees, or would I rather pay 327% interest? The long and short of it is, I would rather take care of my 320% interest and then go get those cards caught up. I did use my credit cards, however, at the beginning of this journey because I had about a $500 deficit. I know that a lot of people are new here, and that's why I thought I'd just come on and clarify this a little. But next Friday, come hell or high water, that stupid loan is getting paid off.
When I was 18 years old, I decided I wanted to go to art school in New York City, and I took out a student loan for over $100,000 for a bachelor's degree in sculpture. And what have I done with that degree? I own 2 businesses. I have a gift shop where I stock artist-designed goods, and I am the founder of Career Claws, my career-themed hair claw line. Sculpture is fancy for manufacturing, okay? Finance and art is just such a stigmatized conversation that I would rather be honest about my situation than to get on here and pretend to be some huge influencer or like I'm living lavish. I'm not. I come from a middle-class family in Louisiana. Here's the thing. I don't regret my degree. I don't regret those 4 years at Pratt. Made me the artist I am today. But it didn't make me the professional I am today. I have the businesses that I do because I'm an entrepreneur at heart. After years of owning my 2 businesses and grinding, I am almost done, y'all. I haven't even had the privilege of thinking about what life looks like post debt payoff, but I'm excited for it, and it's coming sooner than I thought it would. I don't regret my degree. I regret the price tag. I regret spending as much as I did. I am financially traumatized. That's the best way I can describe what this level of debt has done to me, especially from someone who I don't have a bailout. There's no one that can come save me. I would simply go bankrupt. Now, I'm not here to give you a sob story. Again, I just want to be honest about my situation. Yeah, if 2,000 people place an order for a hair claw, then I'll be out.
Hello. I am taking you on this journey with me to pay off $133,000 worth of debt. So let's break down this debt. It's not going to be exact numbers because I just got off of work. I don't feel like looking them up. Just being honest, because I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But I want to give you guys kind of numbers to show like what we're working with here. So we're going to break it down. We have 3 different categories. I have student loans, car loans, and then my credit cards. So with my student loans, I owe about $58,000. All right. I didn't even finish college. So what was the point of that? Anyways, my car loans is about $45,000 because I just got a brand new car because my boyfriend's car got totaled about 6 months ago. So he let me get a brand new car. And then we have credit card debt, and that is about $30,000. So let's go on this journey together.
I'm in over £20,000 worth of debt, and I think it's time for a genuine chat because I actually haven't done an update on my debt, and there is a reason for that because I'm just completely fucking failing. I'm not gonna lie, the past month I've only overpaid by £100, and next month I do not intend in overpaying at all. It's Christmas, I want to spend the time with the kids. Our emergency savings has just been completely drained by our cars. Like when I say we spent a full wage at the moment on cars, we have, and then I've just been hit with another £700 bill. At this point, I'm not paying that because I feel like the dealerships are just having me on. Like I feel like they're just fucking me over now at this point. I do try not to worry about money. That's one thing that I always say when people ask me how I'm not bothered about the debt. I don't really try to worry about money. You know, money comes and goes, but time with my children doesn't. So that is always the thing I have. Feeling really shit about it at the moment. And I should be. It's Christmas soon. I'm not overpaying next month. The money that we had in emergency savings needs to be topped up a bit. And also any money that I do have left over is to do stuff with my kids. I am taking them away to Manchester. We're doing Disney on Ice for my daughter's birthday. And we really want to take myself to the Jurassic Park experience. I've mentioned it's expensive, but my son would absolutely love it. He'd be absolutely over the moon for it. So no debt overpayment next month. And that is just genuinely because I'd rather my kids have really fun experiences than hemorrhaging more money than I need to in my debt in the month of December. In January, I am going to go at it harder than ever. But yeah, I'm just being open and honest. I also know some people won't agree with my decision to kind of put it to the backside for now. And that's completely understandable. I get that.
I'm in my 30s and I'm almost $750,000 worth in debt. And you may ask yourself, well, how in the world did you get there? My 2 largest sources of debt are my student loans and my house. So my house I originally bought in 2019 for $375,000. I'm now down to $339,638. And my student loans, I graduated in 2016. I've been paying every single month since then. I originally took out a little over $200,000. I'm now at $307,870. So can you imagine? My grand total is $647,508. Now, this is wild, but a lot of healthcare professionals that I know have similar debt ranges. So we're basically worth more negative than positive. How in the world do you get out of these things? So my student loans, I've been posting a lot. I've been counting on public service loan forgiveness, and I'll talk more about that in some of my other videos.
Today is one of those days. I am a lot in debt. And I don't make enough money for me to be in this much debt.
How do y'all have no debt? I need to know. There are days like today where I just want to go on a rant about debt. I have $40,000 worth of debt, and that does not include my student loans or my mortgage, because those are things that they get paid when, well, the mortgage gets paid all the time. Obviously, student loans, whenever they come back on, okay, whatever, I'll have to pay them. But I am talking about daily living expenses debt. How do you not have debt? Maybe you guys do and you're just not telling everybody, and that's perfectly fine. Do whatever is best for you. I don't normally tell people, but I've been sharing my recipes, and I'm doing a series on share my recipes to help pay down my debt, because how else am I going to do it? It's going to be a continuous cycle. Like, I'm not spending money on like getting my nails done, going buy new clothes, new shoes, new bags. No, I'm getting diapers. I'm getting wipes. I'm getting formula. I'm getting groceries, things that are a necessity for us to quite literally stay alive. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks this or goes on rants about debt, but something's got to give. The economy's got to change. I can do some things on my part as far as maybe I can make more money. Hello, TikTok. That would be you. So, yeah. Happy Wednesday.
Do you guys want to hear how much credit card debt I have? I saw 2 videos on my For You page this morning. One was from a girl talking about how she wants to normalize discussing how much we have in our savings account. And another was a girl talking about how she wants to normalize talking about how much we have in our 401ks. But while we're at it, can we also normalize discussing debt? I feel like student loan debt and mortgages are really normalized. We talk about those all the time, but no one really discusses consumer debt. I've only seen a few content creators on here say what they actually have in terms of consumer debt. And even I don't say the full number. I say 5 figures. Well, here we go. I have $31,000 worth of credit card debt. And as of next month, I will have $29,000 worth of credit card debt. And when I first started my no-buy journey, I began with $45,000 worth of credit card debt. It might have been closer to 47, but it was insane. I don't have the exact number, but that basically means that within the last 6 months, I've paid off roughly like $12,000 to $15,000 worth of credit card debt. Now let's talk about my other financials, because although I have debt, I am not destitute. I'm 35 years old and I have about $30,000 in the stock market. I had $105,000 in my 401k. I have since done a 401k loan to pay off a good deal of debt. That was about $24,000. So I took $24,000 out of my 401k temporarily, but I'm paying that back. I also contribute like 14% of my salary to my 401k. It's like a really crazy number. And I had almost no short-term savings up until like very, very recently. And I now have around $1,500 in savings. And I've upped my contribution to my savings every single week. I put $250 in my savings account. And my goal is to not drain that at all when I go to Paris in November. But yeah, there you have it, folks. I have $31,000 in debt. I hope my parents don't see this because they will call me screaming. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also have $0 in student loans. So it's looking like once I'm out of my consumer debt, I will be actually in pretty good shape financially. My goal is to have like $15,000 in savings this time next year. I feel like I could hit 20. Let's go for 20. I want $20,000 in savings by this time next year. Anyway, here's to normalizing discussing finances.
Everyone's always like, Brenda, why are you working so hard? Why are you doing a full-time job and posting on TikTok all the dang time? It's because I have $78,327 in student loans. And you want to know how much unpaid interest I accrued in the month of February? $523.93. And this is me paying at least a minimum of $2,000 per month. Started with a little bit over $150-something thousand because I had the bright idea of going to grad school so that I can graduate in a healthcare job to help people, but not get paid enough for the amount of student loans I had to take out. Now, my fault, I went to a private university, but still, it shouldn't be this hard to pay off student loans. But based on my PT salary alone, there is absolutely no way that I could pay this much with just that salary alone and live a breathable, decent life. Make it make sense.
24 years old and I currently owe $31,876 in credit card debt. I recently posted a video talking about the credit card bills that I need to pay with my next paycheck. I do have a lot of credit cards. If I could go back in time and make the decision all over again, I would never get that many. When I first started researching about credit cards, I saw that it was good to have good revolving credit. My idea was that having several credit cards would look good on my credit report, but I never imagined that it would get to this point, so it was never an issue until now. Another thing that I went wrong with was getting store credit cards. That's the worst thing that I could have done. I think that there's no real benefit to getting any store credit cards. For example, I have the Academy card, which I don't owe anything on it, but I used to. I have the Academy card. I have my Best Buy card, which I do currently owe money on it. Those kind of cards, I would go back in time and not get them at all. I need to just pay them off and never again.
on. That's what I'm working on. I'm struggling my way through, and I will pay this debt off. So follow my journey. Watch me pay this debt off. If you're drowning in debt as well, follow me and let's pay this debt off together.
I guess while I'm releasing all this shame today, now would be a good time to admit that I'm $20,000 in credit card debt, and literally am living client to client and relying on my husband, but my husband's also silently suffering as well because he's had to pick up all of the slack as I have stayed home to take care of our daughter and lost all motivation that I had, all of the drive that I had, the creative abilities that I have, all to alcohol. So here's to digging myself out of $20,000 in debt, as well as giving up smoking and drinking. Join me for the ride.
If you want to stay broke in your 20s, continue living beyond your means. Continue getting comfortable with 5-figure credit card debt. Continue using buy now, pay later. Continue dipping into your savings every pay period because you needed to go on that vacation.
How I got myself $23,000 into credit card debt. I started dating a guy when I was around 12 or 13, and I dated him throughout middle school, high school, and into my early 20s. I'm not going to get into the super juicy details of this relationship, but just know that it was mentally, physically, emotionally abusive. And I am so, so grateful to be out of that relationship now. But I did make some bad financial decisions whenever I broke that relationship off 3 years ago. When I was in that relationship, I was controlled a lot, and I wasn't able to hang out with my friends. I wasn't able to travel. I wasn't really able to do anything, and that kind of led into my spending problem whenever I left that relationship. So I broke it off. I started doing solo trips out the wazoo. I was doing solo trip after solo trip, and guess what? I didn't have any money. I was working as a teller in a bank. I still work in a bank, but I've since moved up positions. But I was working as a teller, so I wasn't making much. And so in turn, I was putting it all on my credit cards because I wanted to have these experiences that I felt like I had lost out on. Does that make sense? I pretty much did the same thing over and over and over and over again. I went on so many trips. I fell in love with national parks and hiking. And eventually I found myself $23,000 into credit card debt. And now I'm on a mission to pay that off as quickly as I possibly can. I know what it feels like to feel like you're drowning in your credit card debt, your minimum payments, and a lot of the times if you have high credit card debt like I do, the interest rates are just eating up any monthly payments that you make. It sucks that I put myself in that situation, and if you're in that situation, all you can do is get yourself out. And if you only have one stream of income, like your full-time job, I highly recommend getting a second stream of income, which is what I did. The digital marketing is what I did for my second stream of income, and I am so happy I did.
So I want to tell y'all how I got into so much credit card debt being an overthinker. Here it is. I wanted everything to be perfect. Everything had to be in line. I had to have the color palette. I had to have the bio. I had to have the website. I had to have the products. I had to have 3 years worth of content because I felt like, oh, if I start talking about this one thing, I'm not going to be able to grow. Like, how can I grow? Right? I'm at step 0 and I'm obsessing. I'm at step 0 and I'm obsessing over step like 60. But it took so long for me to understand that I'm never going to know what step 60 looks like because everything in between is a blur. Everything in between is possibility, right? It's how I grow along the way. Step 60 doesn't exist yet because I haven't done step 10. Because what I learned in step 10 helps me to get to step 15 and then 15 and 20 and so on and so forth. So I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, well, why can I not understand what step 60 looks like? And it's like, you're not even advanced enough to know or even fathom what step 60 would look like. So here it is. I really want you guys to know this, to understand this, to really take this in from someone who spent almost 3 years in her head overthinking content. I've wasted 4 years, literally since 2020, actually more like 2021. So like the beginning of 2021, I've been thinking about this since December of 2020. I'm like, how can I start to create content? And I overanalyzed it so much that I did nothing. And I don't want you to be in the same position that I was in, where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have this. I don't have the right color palette. I don't have the right phone. I don't have the right lighting. I don't have the right script. I don't have the right, like, we want you for you. And I realize that the videos that I am most attracted to are the ones where people don't have a script, or if they do, it's a really good fucking script, but attracted to the videos that are just all about real life. I want to see the unorganized kitchen. I want to see how long it takes you to get out of a house with 4 kids. Like, that's the shit I really want to see.